And we'll hear the lady let us know that we're all being recorded. Hello, everyone. My name is Janelle Sissel, and I welcome you to the ISBDC July webinar, Women Business Owners Overcoming Challenges. And we just overcame a Zoom challenge. So first, I want to thank
Right.
everyone for being here today, our panelists, our people in the crowd. Thank you for taking time out on this Friday to sort of sit with us and talk with us about small business. Again, my name is Janelle Sissel, and I'm the Indiana Program Manager for Generator G Beta Indiana. And before we get started, I want to talk to you about why we're doing these monthly webinars with the ISBDC. As I said before, I'm with Generator. Generator is a company based out of Wisconsin, but we have a hub here in Indianapolis, and we are growing nationwide. So we're super excited about it. What we typically do, we're a resource that provides support for high growth and venture backable startups, and we help these companies achieve more growth. But during the time of COVID, we noticed that most venture backable companies, they have a lot of resources. They have a lot of support that they could use during that time. But we noticed that small businesses didn't. So we partner with the ISBDC to provide resources to support small business. And so we're hosting these monthly webinars, and we hope they're a resource, one of the resources and one of the tools that small business owners here in Indiana can use to help them grow. Today, we have 3 women business owners who are going to share their stories, how the pandemic has affected their business, what successes and what lessons they've learned throughout this period. I'm not going to say much about them because I'm going to have them introduce themselves. As you guys can see, this is a very casual conversation. And so if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and put those in the chat. We'll be talking throughout and asking questions throughout this presentation. First, I want to introduce Nicole Kearney of Sip and Share Wines, Geneva Taylor of Tellis Executive Services, and Chef Oya Woodruff of The Trap. So thank you, ladies, for taking time out to sit here and talk about your stories and sort of speak into our businesses and to our lives. First, we're going to start with Nicole. I'm going to shut up. And I'm going to have Nicole tell us the story of Sip and Share Wines, how it got started, who you are, and how your business has navigated through these challenges. Nicole, go ahead, just take it away.
Well, I want to say again, happy hour Friday, everyone. And then I just need to say that y'all know it's just Chef Oya. It's like Beyonce, y'all. Y'all, she don't have no last name. I don't even know why it's on that screen. I was like, I done forgot she had a whole last name. It's Chef Oya, y'all. She know I got a whole name for her, but I'm gonna just give y'all that right here in public company. But okay, so I just had to say that. And Queen, I believe it's Geneva. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Good morning. Good to see you. We're gonna learn. I'm gonna learn about you. I'm excited to meet you and learn about you. And my queen sister, Janelle, thank you for the invitation. I've watched your career kind of move and grow, so I'm excited to see where you are now in your journey and your life. So again, I'm Nicole Kearney. I am the vintner and founder, and a vintner is a winemaker and founder of Sip and Share Wines, and we are a boutique winery without a tasting room. So we're a working winery only. We're here in Indianapolis. Actually, we're located maybe now about 10 minutes. I'm gonna give you a geography lesson, about maybe less than 10 minutes from the Trap. So we're she's on 34th and Keystone. We're literally on 44th, 44th and Keystone. So we're like literally 10 miles, 10 blocks away from each other now. And so we're in a warehouse, and that's where we produce all of our wine. Like I said, we don't have a tasting room, but we make handcrafted vegan wine for people who have been overlooked and underrepresented by the wine industry. And that's specifically Black and Brown people. We do welcome all to the table. We're building our own table. We have built our own table, but y'all can come pull up on us and have some drinks with us. but we are unabashedly about creating community culture and wine for people who have been left out of conversations, who didn't historically grow up with wine being part of their family conversations. And so that's why I really started the company, because I had a lot of bad experiences in the wine industry. I started talking to other Black and brown people, and they were like, yo, that happened to me. I mean, y'all, I was sat in the back of a wine event after they told me my name wasn't on the RSVP list. And then they told all my people they weren't, that I wasn't there. But I have a custom license plate on my car. So all my folks know I was there. They were like, yo, we see the whip. We know, we know you in here. So, so my folks rolled in. We were about 20 deep at a tasting. Everyone had RSVP'd. We were sat in the back by the bathroom. There was not a person in our section that wasn't, there was no non-melanated people in our section. And so this happened like a couple times. And I was like, I don't want to keep doing this. And we were giving these people money. So you paid, money to get into this room. And so do this. And that's kind of how like Sip and Share started. I was already drinking wine in graduate school. I went as an adult. I'm a writer by trade. I'm a writer, college professor, and community builder. That's my background. And so I was like, I can already do this. I'm already talking wine to my friends. So I started doing home tastings. And then I just one day was like, yo, let me get on here, these people's Google, and ask the question, are there Black winemakers? And lo and behold, there are about 30. So I started reaching out and I was like, I'm going to start a business that's going to bring your wine into people's homes. I'm going to introduce people to Black and brown winemakers, little small boutique women winemakers. And that's what we did for about 18 months. We always made our own sangria. So this is how I met Chef Oya. Y'all, I'm going to tell you, this is an origin story y'all going to get. So I met Chef Oya because she helped organize an event called Open Bite Night with some of our mutual, really, really loved friends. And so a friend of mine was like, you should jump down with this event. I went to the first one just as a customer, loved the event. And I was like, yo, they didn't have no adult beverages. So, somebody should just do adult beverages. So my friend called me on it. She's like, you should do that. It was free. They gave you the table. They were doing marketing. So there was no way to say no. So I had from August to October to get ready. And then, so literally you formed the business, we did everything. And this is my dear friend, Naisha, so her. And so we started and we bought sangria, people loved it. We literally sold out. And I tell people that Open Bite Night, although it no longer exists in the form that it was, folks made mortgage money. I mean, it was like the first event of its kind. It allowed people to go in, test the concept, just on a small scale. Because like I said, everything was free and we made mortgage money. So that's how we knew that the community supported us, that we had a business model. So it was that test. And then we were like, okay, let's do this again. And so we did every Open Bite Night since then. And Chef Oil, was there. She'll never talk about it, but she was a donor. Yeah, she was a major donor. She sponsored the event. I happened to be the recipient of one of her sponsorships, and so I got the huge, cute banner. I know she over here mad at me, but we're gonna fight later, sis. And so it was just like the honor to be able to be like, and she just, goes above and beyond. Yeah, she goes above and beyond. But so that's how we got started, and then we kept building this business. But we started seeing we made more money than, with just our wine than we were making doing the home tastings. And so the business coach I had at the time, which was a combination of the Small Business Development Center and BOI, were like, you should figure out how to become a winery. Easier said than done, but we did. It took a while. We got our license in 18. We started traveling the country. We did that for about 18 months. Just off like our social media and our presence, we got invited to Essence Fest, to the very first wine tasting they ever did. And that was in started. Y'all, we had to figure out labels, everything, like on the spot. We took everything down there. We had a tremendous, tremendous response to our wine. And then we just kept doing that. We just kept going to city to city to city. And that informed our collection, which is all chosen by the people. And so our 7-word wines that we have are all wines that, the community across the country chose. So we put that out in January 2019. We were gearing up. We had a new collection that we dropped in 2020, January 2020. We were set for festival season. So we figured stuff out in 2019, how to do these festivals. And then boom, literally, I'll tell y'all, I was standing in Cleo's bodega. You haven't been there, you need to run and go there, getting my trap sandwich, getting my sunshine. If you know, if you know, you know about the sunshine. If you don't know, go over there and ask about that sunshine. But those of us who know the sunshine is named after, had to go over there and get my sunshine for the morning. And bam, the news hit that, and this was March 13th, this was a Friday. So they had custom sandwiches on Friday, but the news hit that the state was shutting down, the world was shutting down that Monday. So we were like, yo, we're a business to business, that's what we do. We travel. How do we pivot this? Now, fortunately, we had talked about in 2019, in Q3, hey, we need to do more online business. Little did we know, y'all, that we just manifested a whole, pandemic out in this piece so that we could get our online business. Manifestation powers is, we magnificent with this. So we were like, sorry, we didn't, and I know a whole bunch of other people who were manifesting things. So, I'm gonna say together, we kind of like shifted, this whole atmosphere. And so boom, we were just like online business. So our pandemic pivot was we started doing virtual wine tastings. We already had the product, we already had the bottles, but it was something we used for our restaurants. So when that business dried up, here we go. We were like, let's see if people will jump down with it. We did it with our wine club. They loved it. They told their friends. And that really got us through the pandemic. So we learned, we were scrappy. We were in a 200 square foot facility. And that the pandemic, we all know people, we lost people. There was the tragedy aspect to it. I lost a lot of family members, I put a lot of family members in the ground in 2020. But it also had a lining to it because we also saw young people rise up like they haven't, since the 60s. They took control, the messaging, they took control of how young people wanted this, the new world to be seen and how we were going to go forward. So we had a lot of people call it racial strife and injustice. I say, no, the young people just rose up. They were like, we tired of this stuff. And we just gonna go out here and show you how this new world and our world should look. With us becoming the new majority in less than, right now we're about 4 or 5 years out. And so then that brought in a lot of traffic with people who were like, oh, we want to buy Black. We want to support Black people. We want to support women businesses. So that also buoyed us up. And really, we sold a lot of wine. Of course, and people just want to drink wine because, like me, I was crying when the pandemic hit because I was like, my business is gone. And fortunately, we're still here. So we've learned a lot of lessons. We're now, like I said, in a 2,500 square foot space that, the community helped us buy. At the end of the day, the community is doing all of this. We make the wine, but the community buys it, drinks it, tells us what we should be doing, how we should move. We listen to that. We just introduced Culture canned wines, dropped on Juneteenth. We dropped them at both Cleo's Bodega anniversary, and then we did Indie Night Market. They have been well received. So that's kind of where we are in our journey. We got a couple of other things coming out. We're here to innovate and change the wine industry in a way that has never been done. It's usually you go to a tasting room, you get some wine, you join a wine club. We're about giving you experiences. That's experiences with our wine. We come to you. And we're just changing the way wine looks. That's it. Sip and share wines, y'all. Follow us around on social media.
Thanks, Nicole. And now, again, everyone, if you have any questions for any of our panelists, feel free to include them in the chat or the Q&A, and we will go ahead and ask. And now we'll hear from Geneva Taylor of Tellis Executive Services.
It's actually Tellis Executive Search and not services.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's okay. But after hearing Nicole, I'm inspired, and I might have to try to drink a little bit more wine. That's all I can think of. And definitely for my team that's on the line, let's figure out how we can get some wine at my 5-year anniversary event coming up. So we'll figure that out. It's an afternoon event, so we can't have too much wine, but hey, the party can start early. So my name is Geneva Taylor, and I'm the president and managing director of Tellis Executive Search. So Tellis is my maiden name. I always tease and say I couldn't put my business in my ex-husband's name. So Tellis is for me, it's a family business, and I treat it more like, how should I say, it's my legacy. It's my legacy for my family, and my mom and dad are my board of directors. And they, so I consult with them on some business decisions. They tease me sometimes and say, we don't get paid. I said, no, you don't get paid, but I feed you when I come see you. So I'm originally from Harvey, Illinois. If anybody knows where that is, it's a south suburb of Chicago. I've lived down here in Indianapolis. I'm not a Hoosier. I won't claim it. And when anybody asks me where I'm from, well, I say I live in Indianapolis, but I'm from Chicago. And but anyway, so I started my business 5 years ago, and I had a 30-year plus corporate career. So I worked at companies like Caterpillar, Navistar, Rolls-Royce, Rockwell. So I left my corporate job in 2016 at Rolls-Royce after 15 years there. And somewhere towards the last 3 years, I just knew I needed to get out of corporate America. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And it happened that I ran into one of my former mentees who had started a recruiting business and hadn't seen him in 20 something years. And he basically, when he found out I was leaving Rolls-Royce, I didn't have a plan yet. I was just looking at different franchises to purchase and or different businesses to get into. And he called me, and kind of the rest was history. It happened real quickly after that, because with recruiting, so I'm a recruiter. I guess I should explain that. So I call it a search consultancy firm. So that's why we're search consultants who care, and it's Tellis Executive Search. But I really always mentored people throughout my career. And I worked at, like I said, these corporate companies. They were very engineering focused, high technical people. And my background is in electrical engineering, but I never did a day of it in my life. I graduated from Northwestern in electrical engineering and just couldn't find a job back then in engineering, and ended up figuring out that I was actually better in purchasing. I really fought, sometimes God comes to you and said, this is what you're going to do. And you want to do this, but this is what you're going to do. So I ended up in purchasing almost my entire career. And I worked with engineers. So I was able to use my skill set in a different way because I understood business too. And I don't know how many people really know engineers. They're very interesting people. I feel like I can tease them because they're a little strange. That's nerd on steroids, when you come to engineering and tech people. And I'm kind of that way too, but I can speak human. I speak regular English with regular people, and I can interpret things that they do. And so really becoming, because I mentor people, I help recruit people for my own teams, for my companies that I worked at. I was a purchasing executive when I left my career. And so I knew a lot about engineering and purchasing and supply chain and manufacturing. That's what I do now. I recruit people for clients who are companies. The candidates are candidates. So sometimes people think recruiters work for the candidates. They think the candidates are the clients. The candidates are not the clients. The candidates are kind of like you guys with the product. They're kind of what my clients are looking for. So I help match up talent with my clients. And oftentimes it's like a match where they wouldn't have found each other if not for me and my team, because we kind of find what I say, we curate, kind of like you, Nicole, you're curating your wines. I curate candidates. So I'm finding the niche candidates for those niche positions. So it's not just headhunting. It's not just recruiting, really. It's more of making that perfect match. And it's, even though the business is Tellis Executive Search, it's not just executives. We work mostly with any kind of engineering, quality engineers, buyers, supply chain people, logistics people, and we placed them in mostly manufacturing companies. And the kind of industries that we support are some of the industries that I'm familiar with as well. We do medical device, we do industrial companies, automotive, and a lot in aerospace. So in reflection, you know, we've been kind of looking back on the last 5 years, and what we have done in the last 5 years is kind of amazing when because you don't know what you've done when you're in the grind of things. You're just doing it. You know, you really don't know. Like I've placed 1/3 of my candidates have been minority and women. I didn't know that. I knew kind of, but I was like, you know, we attract more minorities because of who we are. We attract more women because of who we are. And think about that. How many, you wouldn't imagine there's that, that's a pretty good number when you're thinking about a field of engineering and supply chain and purchasing. We just don't exist. So to find 1/3 of them for our clients, they're pretty happy about that. Having been in purchasing, I did know about getting certified as a diverse supplier. So I did that right off the bat. I'm a woman-owned, minority-owned business. I'm certified with the National Minority Supplier Development Council. I'm certified through WeBank as a woman-owned business, and I'm certified with the U.S. government as a woman-owned small business. So when we look at the pandemic and what we did, you think about it, there was a lot of people losing jobs, but there were still companies growing. And I happen to have a very good client that was still growing and still building a team, and they helped us make, last year was actually our best year in business. It was the year I broke even. The fallout for the pandemic actually happens more this year because there's still like a lot of flux and change going on. I would say that it's been a struggle from companies restructuring to candidates not wanting to move or relocate anymore. People got the taste of what it feels like to work remote, and they want to have more flexibility. And that's impacted some of our placements with our clients. And so we've lost some candidates along the way, and we've lost some positions along the way. But we keep on moving and striving. And frankly, how we find the work that we get to do is based off of my experiences and my reputation over 30 years in corporate America. Clients are people that I've worked with before in some way, shape, or form. They could have been suppliers that I negotiated with. It could be peers that I worked with, or somebody that heard of me, knew about the company I worked with, or heard, just kind of familiar with my background. So that's been a blessing. I haven't had to go chase a lot of new business. So a lot of times the business comes to me, people find us. I'm trying to think, just a little other tidbits about the company. You see, I got a purple wall behind me. So Northwestern is a Wildcat. I'm a Wildcat for life. I went to Thornton Township High School in Harvey, Illinois. That's Wildcats, was purple and white. I went to college. I was a Wildcat, purple, white, and black. So my colors and everything about me, and our favorite color is purple. It's kind of like, me, you love purple. So I don't have purple on today, but I have a lot of purple. And I was just to kind of talk about how we got through the pandemic. So other than the fact that we were working from home, we had been working at co-working spaces. I had gotten really sick at the beginning of the pandemic. I don't know if I had COVID, but they weren't testing back then, but I had some bad case of the flu. And I said, I can't keep going back to these co-working spaces. So we went back home, and my account exec, she got sick too. So we don't know what we had, but we were sick. And so we got through that. We were working from home and just really trying to stay working, stay involved in business, stay involved with networking. So we actually, took that time to build a new website, looked at everything that we could do while things were a little slower. My daughter helped me build my website. She graduated in computer science from Ball State, a CLD grad. So I'm very proud of her. And she made me a pretty nice website. So somebody hopefully will check it out one day. It's at tellissearch.com. We got the PPP grants. We did that. We got a Liz Cummins grant just this year. We joined the Indy Chamber. So we got the Restart grant to help us get back into the office. I found the Nexus Impact Center. Our office is in Nexus Impact Center, which is Nexus is in the old Ivy Tech building off of 96 near Michigan, just north of 465. So we moved into a real people's office, and that's been great to actually be in a real office and feel real like a professional, not just in a copper squat type place where in a co-working area. The Nexus is the whole thing is about how the businesses inside of Nexus give back to the community in some way, shape, or form. So our business, I restarted an organization called Seroptimus 11 years ago. It means best for women. So we're a club of a local club of an international organization that supports women and girls. We give scholarships to women and do mentoring events with girls. So every year we have scholarships that we give out to women who may be the sole breadwinners of their family. That could be for any kind of certification. We have one scholarship that doesn't matter what you're graduating in or going for, and another scholarship that is more focused on women that are getting a bachelor's degree or higher. So we participate in that, and that's more of what we do. Trying to think, I wrote some notes down real quick to make sure I remember things. I got introduced to IBSDC or at ISBDC this year too. They helped me with Google My Business. So that's something that we now have, and we can track some of our metrics. I joined NABO. I joined Women in High Tech. I'm sponsoring an event with Leading Ladies of Aerospace. That's a virtual event in September. So to keep our name out there. More than 50% of our business placements have been in aerospace. I participated in the InnoPower conference this past last month. And we just continue to build and sustain the different relationships and build new relationships. I've been an active participant in Connexus. If you don't know what Connexus is, it's more it's a not-for-profit organization that focuses on trying to keep the students that are in technical fields and manufacturing companies and help build manufacturing and logistics within the state of Indiana. So that's another thing that we have continued to support. So again, coming from my humble beginnings, if you know Harvey, Illinois, this is a different life. I guess one of the things that I could say with my family is that I never knew I was in such, how should I say, poor circumstances in some ways. I felt like anything was always possible. And that's really kind of the message I have still now in my heart, and for anybody that I try to help. I can't place everybody that I work with, but I can always leave them in a better place than when they came to me. And that's kind of how I felt just growing up in Harvey, is that I knew that there were bigger and better and greater things out there. And I'm trying to just do more and kind of give back what has been given to me. So that's really, I think, the most about my story. Is this we're search consultants who care for a reason. And we really care about, saving people time, saving our clients time in their search processes with respect to finding clients or finding candidates rather. And we also just want to make sure that, we make that experience, that unnerving experience of looking for a job or, being out of work. And in some cases, just finding a new opportunity. If you're current working, finding a better place for you, a better fit for a candidate, and matching them to some of our clients. We want to make that the best possible experience and not really rush through it with our candidates, and really find our clients the kind of people that they need. And I would say that most of my clients are, the nice thing about being in business, at least in my business to business organization, is that you could choose who you work with. I could choose my clients. I can choose not to work with certain clients if they don't have the type of culture that I can align with, if they don't have the kind of relationship that I would want, if I would want to be in that organization, then it's a client that I want to work with. If I don't feel like that's the kind of environment that I could work in, I can't work with that client. Like, how could I work with somebody and in good conscience put a candidate in a company where they're not going to treat their people well? So I get to make that choice and build those relationships with my clients and also my candidates. Because I really I put my reputation on the line when I'm working with a client. And so sometimes you don't know right off that that client is not the kind that might work with you. Sometimes you know right off the bat that that might not be a good client. But on the candidate side, at the same time, I try to make sure the candidate understand and respects that we work for the client, but we're helping you. We're going to help you, and we don't work for you as a candidate, because sometimes candidates get it twisted. You know, they think that you're working for them, and why aren't you doing this for me? I'm like, well, you know, I've helped you with your resume. Now the rest might be up to you. Or if you you have to invest in yourself too. So maybe you have to help me help you. You just don't expect us to stop everything for one person. It doesn't work that way. But I really appreciate Janelle, and I know Nicole, and I want to be part of you know, the Chef Oya Nicole Club too. And I can't wait to kind of learn more about. I've heard several times of Chef Oya because I've watched her on TV, and that's why I went out and tried her food. But knowing Nicole now, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to figure out and balance my my points so I can have some more wine, because I can't have too much wine, because I go to sleep when I drink wine. But I really, really appreciate Janelle for asking me to participate. And I think that anything is possible for any of us with our network and with our the way that Black women and especially give back to each other, to the community. And you know, I feel like being down here in Indianapolis has been a blessing for me. Compared, you know, it's not as cutthroat as Chicago area can be. I do miss my family. I miss home, but you know, knowing there's good people down here, I've learned a lot just being free of corporate America for the last 5 years. It's been a blessing, and I honestly can say I wouldn't change anything through all the ups and downs. So that's all I have. You didn't have to pull the rug from under me, Janelle. I'm done.
I didn't have to play the wrap it up music yet. All right, now we're going to hear from Chef Oya.
Hi, thank you so much, Janelle, for the invitation, and like my dear sister Nicole said, it's been so incredible watching you navigate through your life and everything over the last couple of years. It's been my pleasure, and I'm so glad to be able to be here and do this today. My name is Chef Oya Woodruff. I do have a last name. I'm gonna always say it because that's my daddy name. So in my I am a serial. I'm a chef by trade. I am a classically trained chef. I graduated from Ivy Tech in 2006 or something like that. Yeah, 2006. I have done a lot of different things with regard to being an entrepreneur, but food has always been my connector. Food has always been something that I used, you know, just culturally. Black folk use food to gather and celebrate and mourn and just connect, period. So in that, there was a lot of culinary talent just naturally in my family. I have some ancestors that have worked for major catering companies over the years. My great grandmother was in the Culinary Federation here in Indianapolis before it was even thought of for a Black woman to do something like that. like literally all of her peers were white men, and she was the only Black woman in this situation. And there are still organizations that, you know, use some of her recipes and processes and stuff to this day. So I do come from a legacy of amazing culinarians, and I'm so grateful to be able to continue on and to do what I do. The trap is such an amazing thing. I started the original idea for the trap. Now this dog ain't, do y'all hear this dog in my background? The whole time Nicole and Geneva were talking, this dog did not bark a single time. And as soon as I start talking, he will want to act crazy. Anyway, I might have to go have somebody get him. But anyway, I started the trap with, originally it was a friend of mine, my good sister, and I call her my BB, my business bestie, Candace Boyd. She is what we call the spice slanger. So I started, went through culinary school. I worked in a couple of jobs, and you know, just kind of going through life. I've always been a little bit of a hustler. I can sell water too well, you know what I mean? I can do a lot of stuff. And so I was working in a gig. I was selling cars, and it just really wasn't fulfilling me. I was making good money, but it wasn't fulfilling me on a spiritual level. And I wasn't able to connect with as many people as I wanted to. And I don't know, I had to do something. So I started making cakes, and I had a couple personal chefing clients. But anyway, I started making cakes from home, and I taught myself, because I didn't learn this in culinary school, but I taught myself how to make like custom celebration cakes with fondant and make them all big and pretty and stack them and all of that stuff. So that became really popular, like on my social media, and I gained a pretty decent following with that. And then I came up with this amazing and dynamite cookie recipe, and those, you know, sold out greatly. And then I just had an idea after talking to a friend of mine who lived in Florida. She would always eat these garlic crab trays in Florida. And I was like, that looks amazing. And I'm such a big fan of seafood. I want to see if I can recreate something like that. So I decided to do, with Candace, Seafood Fridays. And I'm not sure why he is calling me. I'm sorry, I have employees, and my manager has called me like back to back, and I told him I was doing this. So it has to be some type of emergency, since he knows I'm doing something. Let me text him real quick to make sure what's going on. I'm sorry. That's what happens when you're in entrepreneurship, huh? I guess I can't apologize about it too much.
Yeah, that's what happened. So no, you're totally fine.
But yeah, so whew, that done got me panicked.
Oh, don't handle it. You're okay.
Yeah, so I'm very answer the phone. Hello.
While Oya is doing that, I do have some questions.
Okay.
First of all, what I know, Geneva, you talked about a few resources that you have used, and some organizations that you have joined recently and during COVID. Can you go into a little bit of how that's been helpful? And then Nicole, what resources, local and national, grants, things like that, that you have also used to help you navigate through your business?
So for me, it's been a little bit more of connections and networking. Women in high tech. I joined them. They have a lot of, how should I say, they have business, people, women in business and technology. The NMSDC, National Minority Supplier Diversity Council, the local area president is Carolyn Mosby in Mid-States. And Carolyn has been very grateful and gracious to me, or rather, and referring me to some other businesses here in town. I was able to work on a position with the Health and Hospital Corporation and work on their CEO search. They did end up using their interim person, but we did a significant search for them. And that was like the highest level position I've ever searched for. So just kind of being involved also helps connect you, and you become kind of known, and you can network and refer, you get referred. Women and women, we bank the local area people, the Great Lakes Business Council. I know Michelle Parker and Katrina Perkins. Katrina Reynolds, I think. And they are, they have events, they have networking events. I'm part of a cohort of other women business owners. So it really kind of just builds your tribe. You're not alone. And with last year being the way it was, you can feel alone. And so just having those networking events was very networking and training and knowledge sharing. Anything, that's what I love about being here really is in especially just being out of corporate America. I'm aware of so much more around the world, around me than I ever was before. You just don't know, who your network can be because you're stuck in kind of your own paradigm, your own bubble in a corporate environment. So just getting out and just, it feels like a breath of fresh air being part of these organizations.
And I see Chef Oya Woodruff is ready to return. So I'll pass it to her and then I'll circle back.
Are you sure you can go? Okay.
No.
Yeah, go right on ahead.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
No, you're totally fine.
So I did have to take care of something real quick. So thank you for your patience and your grace in this. I'm really grateful for it. But anyway, so I think I left off where I started making custom celebration cakes, came up with a really good cookie recipe, ended up getting a really amazing like social media following. I'm a little bit of a ham, and I've always liked to do media and social media and being in front of people, public speaking, all of that stuff is something that I love to do. So garnering that much attention, I was just like, well, hell, I can't just do these cookies. Like, I gotta do something bigger, something more major. And a friend of mine was in Florida, and she would always post these garlic crab trays, and I would always lust after them. Like, what is going on? Someone was one of my Facebook friends was actually in Florida one day, and he posted a garlic crab tray, and he lives in Indianapolis. He posted this garlic crab tray, and I promise you not, he probably had 300 comments on that post asking him where did he get it from, because he was in Indianapolis and we didn't have anybody doing something like that in Indianapolis. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, okay, I know what my next venture is. It done came up too many times for me. So I started tinkering around in the kitchen, and I came up with this garlic butter recipe that was not like the one I saw in Florida. It didn't look like it. It didn't taste like it, but it looked delicious and it tasted delicious. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess this mine is for me. I asked Candace, my business bestie, who I mentioned earlier. We had started a culinary collective together where we were teaching classes and doing tutorials and coming up with recipes and stuff like that. And so we decided to come up with this lunch special, and I asked her to create a seasoning because, like I said, she's what we call the spice slanger, and she creates custom seasoning blends. So I asked her to create a seasoning for me that would go well with my butter sauce that I had just created. And she brought me the seasoning over to my house one day. I tasted it, and we tasted it with the butter sauce that I made. And we just like kind of looked at each other like, we about to make some money, honey. Like, it was one of those things where we just like, this is a winner right here. This is a winning combination. And so to this day, we like to say that Butter and Bay are married. The butter sauce ended up being called Trap Butter, which is what we call it. You can go to trapbutter.com to purchase it. You can also purchase the Young Bay seasoning on trapbutter.com. And that's Buttah. So Trap, Buttah. We started doing this. We did what we call seafood Sundays, where I went and got some crab, a case of crab from Kroger, and I put together this crab tray with some vegetables and the butter sauce and the seasoning. And I didn't have no space. I was still working outside of my home. I had quit the car sales job, and I was just hustling cookies and cakes out of my house, and that's what was paying my bills for those months. But we decided one day to do this seafood thing, and it just, I think I maybe sold 25 trays off of my porch that first day. I set up some sternos or whatever, and just through social media and stuff like that, I sold 25 of these orders off of my porch. And then the next week we had to do it on Sunday because more people were asking for it. The week after that, I had to do it on Monday because people were asking to bring, for me to bring lunch to their offices. So I had to take offices orders. And then it turned into like a full-fledged lunch delivery order within a matter of weeks. And then I was still doing things on my home porch. And eventually my daddy was like, you got my granddaughter over there. There's too many people coming to your house. What's going on? Let's figure out if we can get you need a restaurant. And as a culinarian, I still didn't want a restaurant. I know that grind. I had worked in restaurants before as line cooks and hostess and servers. My favorite job in a restaurant was actually a server as opposed to being on the line and cooking, even though I can cook. You know what I mean? But that grind, no, baby, I don't, man, you can call me lazy if you want to, I didn't want it. But like you had mentioned earlier, Geneva, that sometimes God and the universe or whatever, your ancestors will push you to what you need to be doing as opposed to what you think you want to be doing. And so yeah, I went to go get some Jamaican food one day at this Jamaican restaurant on 34th and Keystone that I had gone to frequently. And he had a sign up on the door that said he was moving. And I said, well, where are you going? I had looked at so many different places and I couldn't afford any. They were asking for too much stuff and blah, blah, blah. It just wasn't working out. And asked him where he was going. He was like, I'm leaving here. Well, what y'all gonna do with this space? I don't know. I don't own it. You can get in touch with the owner. So I ended up getting in touch with the owner, and he's now one of my good mentors. Yeah, so I got the keys to the trap. Well, I found that place. I had an interview with him. I looked at it. I liked it. I talked with my uncle, who's a construction guy, and asked him, was this something that he would be able to help me build out? And I ain't had no money, so you're gonna have to give me some grace on that too. And we figured out that that's where we wanted to be. And then my father passed away. And that was very, very difficult, but grieving my father helped to give me the push to build my legacy so I can continue his. So over the next 6-7 months, I was grinding. I was still selling trays out of my house and still selling cookies and cakes, and whatever extra money that I had that wasn't going to bills was going right into my equipment and revamping the space to get approved for opening from the health department. And by the time I got my approval from the health department in January, I had $11.42 in my bank account. So when I got my approval to open up, I didn't even have the money. I didn't even have the capital to buy food. I got this approval. I didn't spend all this money to open up this restaurant, to get all of my equipment, to make sure I had everything, the ceiling tiles and equipment and sternos and a commercial refrigerator and sinks and all of this stuff. I done spent all of my money, and I didn't even have the capital to go buy a case of crabs because I had $11.42, and I always remember that number. And so I went to social media, to my trusted folks, and well, in the meantime of doing that, we did that first open bite that Nicole had said she had gone to the first time, and it ended up being like wildly successful, and we ended up having a line all the way out to the street from where we were, toward flush back against the building, and ended up selling out of food and just really doing incredibly. So that got my name out there a little bit more. And then I went to my social media and I said, hey, y'all done watch me build this thing from the ground up, and I'm ready to open. I got the approval to open, but I ain't got no money to go get no crabs. So can y'all pre-order your food? Here's the menu. Here's a link so you can pre-order your food. Please do so, and I'm gonna see y'all next week on the grand opening day. So I had probably about 40 people pre-order food that day, and that gave me plenty enough space and room to buy that first batch of food, and I've basically been rolling ever since. Since then, now I have employees. I've been featured on every single news station here in the city. Been in nearly every been featured in nearly every print publication that you could be featured in here in the state. And I've been on national TV 3 times. So I've been on Food Network, I've been on the Cooking Channel, and I've also been featured on Good Morning America. And then I got a couple of more coming up this year. I actually have a quick segment on WTHR today at 4 p.m. So please join in and take a look at what we do. But the trap also, and I wanted to say this, the trap also was built on food access. It wasn't just because I thought people needed crab legs. I wanted people to have access to fresh, delicious food in the hood. Like, that is my mission. Toward restoring food access to the people. That's what the TRAP stands for. And we feed folks. There are several folks in the neighborhood that have whatever affliction they have, and I'm not here to judge them on that. But they know that they have an ally in me and whatever they need with regard to them being hungry. So they know that they can come and eat and come and get some food, and we have a particular tray that we, give to those folks, and we just kind of share the love our ways. We have several different things that we do around the city to help with food drives, and I kind of do it quietly. You know what I mean? If I know of a particular family that needs some help or needs some food, then we take it right to them. If there are people that are grieving that we know of, our customers, we take them a tray to, their house if they're grieving or just lost a family member, so we do, small steps to just make big impact on people that normally, wouldn't necessarily have that. So our big thing is making sure that we keep this delicious seafood accessible to people in the hood, because a lot of times we don't got it. Since I've opened, because I was maybe like the second person to have a boil style seafood restaurant here in the city. This was back in 2016. And if you drive around the city now, you see all of my children, and that's what I call them. I call them my kids, but all the crusty crabs and the crafty crabs and the ugly crabs and the cute crabs and the crab in a box and blue crabs and all of those Boyle style restaurants have now opened. And that's really because I was able to bust the market wide open and let people know that, you know, people here in Indianapolis were desiring a seafood dinner. Because the only place they could really go before I opened was the Boiling, and that was wildly expensive and a little inaccessible because it's on market, or was on market, and they're not even open anymore. But yeah, I feed people. I do what I love. I employ my people, and you know, make sure that they can make a good living. And the pandemic kind of threw us a little bit off the ricker, but the thing was, we've always been a takeout restaurant. We don't have any eat-in services, so we didn't have to learn anything new. We were already doing takeout. We didn't have to revamp anything. We didn't have to learn anything new. We already had takeout for lunch down packed. We had it expertly. We just had it, you know. So what we did do, however, was because all the rest of the restaurants in the city had to go to takeout models, we went in a different direction, and we started focusing more on our trap butter production. And we started focusing on what's called trap at home. And we haven't done trap at home in a little bit because we've been back busy doing both of them, but we started trap at home. So people didn't want to come out and they didn't want to wait in line because of COVID and all of that stuff. And I fully understood that. So we had people pre-order trap trays that were vacuum sealed with all the directions and everything, where you can come and pick up, you can take it home, you can cook it yourself. So we're working on some distribution for that. We're working on national distribution for trap butter. I'm about to release another product here soon. But yeah, we just had to do some pivoting when the pandemic came down, and I was closed for a few weeks. But when I closed, we closed for serving hot food at the restaurant. But the week that we closed, so many people were like, we can't get our trap fixed, that our orders for trap butter like that next week shot up about 400%. So we went from doing maybe 2 or 3 orders a day to a lot more than 2 or 3 orders a day. So we had to come up with a whole brand new system to manufacture and label and get everything done so we could fulfill these trap butter orders. And then later, a couple months down the road, the Good Morning America segment hit, and that just knocked our socks off and blew us away. We did much more than even the 400%, like oodles more. So we've just been navigating the fallout right now. We use several resources. And I didn't write them down because I'm not as professional as Geneva. But we use several resources. We got a couple grants and a couple loans to help get us through, but not too many. But I mean, we're at a really weird flux right now because the season changes. Our food costs have skyrocketed, and it's really ridiculous. Cash is down, credit card fees are up, and we're just in a really weird flux right now. But people are still very supportive. We are about to go through a rebrand here within the next couple of months, and this is the first time that I mentioned it publicly. But we're about to switch some things up a little bit and kind of give people some new flavor for the trap. So it's not going to be what we've done before. We're like really kind of flipping some things over and doing some things different. So I'm super excited about that. I do have another business a couple more businesses that I do consulting, and then I also have a cosmetics business that I run as well. So yeah, it's been a wild and interesting ride. But I'm grateful for it. And yeah, is there anything else? Any questions, or did I miss anything?
No, I don't think you did. I do want Nicole to finish with what resources, local and national, that you've used. And then I have some other questions right after that.
So one thing I think is interesting that I just realized is all of us are on the precipice of our 5-year anniversary.
Yep.
So that's interesting that all the businesses on here, we all kind of started in the same kind of time span. So yeah, like Geneva, I wasn't prepared either. So I did write a few things after you asked the question. So we've been fortunate. We've been a recipient of lists. We got some money from lists. We just got a loan from the Black Chamber, and we're the recipient of the Jacqueline Troy Inspired Fund, and she was someone I knew, so that like kind of means more to me, because I knew her, and unfortunately she transitioned off this planet. But we're going to do it's kind of quasi-public, but we are creating the Sip and Share Wines mobile wine lounge. So that is what we're using that money for. So coming soon. So that was my call to you, Chef Oya. That was that text, like, yeah, that was like in the moment because I forgot what I said I was gonna do. So I'm gonna circle back to you on that. So we also fortunate TCU. I'm a TCU member. I'm the member of their fan club. I built their fan club. Yeah, I'm just a huge proponent of credit unions, and so they gave us a grant. We got some money from Beyonce's people. I'm still waiting for her to send me my Ivy Park box. I know it's lost in the mail, but one of these times I'm gonna get my Adidas box on my front porch. And then we've been fortunate to really be mentored by some really cool people. So we've people that I've looked at and I've followed. So Melissa Bradley and the 1863 Ventures, they're out of DC. Kelly Jones, who's local with Be Nimble. And if you haven't heard, they just closed a multi-million-dollar fund, 68 Capital, first Black woman in Indianapolis to do it. I think it's 20 million, might be more than that, but $20 million fund. And then we're currently in the Blavity Fellowship, which is run by the CEO is Morgan DeBon, and she has 2 co-founders. And so they're like the millennial media company. So think BET, but in this generation. So those are people who really just kind of helped us move through, kind of giving us advice, kind of advisory and resources we've used. Of course, the Small Business Development Center, BOI, Source, all of those folks have really helped us just kind of in the growth and the planning of where we are today.
Nicole, you mentioned mentorship. Who has been you guys' mentors? And are you guys mentoring others?
Well, I'll jump back in. So yes, I would say Nashara Mitchell with she's a professor at Butler, but also has her own business, Studio B. So she mentors us. I've got a wine making mentor. We call him Uncle Phil with Longevity Wines. He's out in Livermore, Phil Long. And then Marcy Jones, who's my like wine business mentor, between her and Benita Johnson. So that's Urban Connoisseurs and the Vine Wine Club. And I also mentor people back. So I have some mentees and folks who want to get into the wine business or just get into it, whether they want to make wine or any other way. And then just some sisters that aren't in the wine business that we just kind of meet and talk and try to just figure it out. Chef Oya is one of my mentors. I told her this, so she knows this. I watch how she moves. Before I even met her, I was like, let me see what this sister's doing. Okay, she's doing that. And then I got the opportunity to meet her. So I know that I can like call and ask a question and be like, okay, this, and she's like gonna give me that real, like, nah, don't do that. Don't do that. So like, we don't have a tasting room. She doesn't know this. We don't have a tasting room based on my conversations with her about not opening up a storefront where people can come in restaurant, and just understanding the logistics of that and like doing what you do best, produce it and then getting it to people, and just those conversations. And people are like, you should open a tasting room. Nah, and I'm just saying it publicly now. We're not opening no tasting room, y'all. I know people keep asking, and I've been like hemming and hawing around it, but we're just not. But we come out and pour for the people. But that's strictly off of that conversation. And mentors can be people you know personally that you have access to, or just people that you can kind of see how they move. And so like Dawn Dickerson, she's somebody I consider a mentor. I don't know her, but I'm gonna know her by the end of the year. We're gonna talk. But one of the first Black women to raise over $1 million. So yeah, so those are people that I kind of look at, like, what are they doing? But like Cicely Tyson, she don't know me, but she my mentor before, you know, she transitioned. So I have people like that I look at. Yeah.
I have a couple of mentors, and I don't know, I'm funny about naming them because we're close, and they're just real quiet. You know what I mean? But like I said, my landlord, Charles Everhart, is a great mentor of mine. And I just have a couple sisters that I just really look up to, and we talk. There's a couple of chefs here in the city that we share with all the time with regard to business and just restaurant ownership and the support. I also really just have a really amazing personal support system. And it's important in business to have people that are strictly business that you talk to, but the way that I work is so intensely personal, and I draw off of, you know, what spirit tells me a lot. And I listen to my ancestors, and I listen to, you know, what spirit has to say to me, and I follow it. So I don't have the traditional, you know, matriculation of the way that my business has grown like a lot of other businesses do. Is just because I just simply do things a little bit different. Like my brain is wired just a little bit differently, you know. And I have several people that I also mentee and consult and help, and, you know, when whatever you got to do. I think a lot of times, like especially in the food business here in Indianapolis, we have it's a weird disconnect between different cultures and how we gather. And so I like to think that because I came out and I've been able to, you know, make so much noise and open up a couple of doors, I know for a fact that there have been other restaurants that followed my model and followed the way that I handle things on, you know, social media, and the way that I handle things just period, and how I'm unapologetic about doing things the way that my vision told me to do them. You know what I mean? Because I think so many people get so caught up in the hype that they forget what their vision is, and then they try to go and do what other people want them to do. And my vision was never to open up a sit-down restaurant. Like Nicole said, like, I don't want a sit-down restaurant right now. That's just not what we're doing. I'm focused on manufacturing so I can show other small businesses how to manufacture their food products. I'm focused on the scaling and national distribution for my products. I'm focused on, you know, providing and creating a better systems and a different system, so I can make sure I can recreate it when I am ready to, you know, open up another thing. So I'm sorry, I just kind of went off on a tangent. Well, go ahead, Geneva.
No, you know, it's funny that you guys are saying this, because, you know, I came from Chicago, the Chicago area, and I'm used to not having sit-down restaurants. Like in the hood, in the place, you go, it was like, you know, I call them hole in the walls. You go to the hole in the wall, you get your great food, you go sit in your car, you go back home. And I'm not, you know, coming down here, when I first came to Indiana, it was all these, you know, franchise, like everybody can do a Chili's or Applebee's, you know, it was like boring, super boring. And so I'm happy that you guys are doing it that way, because to me, that's the most character, that's the best food you get from places that really aren't so much about that service. It's about get your food, get your great food, and go home. and go take it home. And that's why DoorDash and all these other places are taking off, because people didn't shoot, even with the pandemic, people didn't want to sit in someplace. And I think that that's not going to change. But I guess back to the mentor question. So like I mentioned, one of my former mentees, he was actually a rotational graduate that worked for me. He helped me get into this business. He actually helped fund it. And I paid him back. So he kind of gave me a loan just to kind of make sure I didn't use all of my money to get launched. But I did. I invested my retirement money into my business. So this is like my last career. And I figured, why bet on anybody else? I'm betting on myself. I did it through a system called a rollover as a business startup. And instead of investing in the Fortune 500, I invested in Tellis Executive Search. So Tellis Executive Search, I don't ever really feel like I want to retire. I just want to do this for the rest of my life because I enjoy it. So he was a mentor. Because I bought a franchise, I have some mentors through that, like bond of being part of a network. And I've got some good mentors I'm part of the MRI network. So I have some good mentors there. But frankly, the biggest mentors for me always in my life are my mom and my dad and my sister. My sister's associate director or something like that, some big title of diversity, equity, and inclusion at Navistar. So she knows, she sees things from a perspective of being a diverse supplier in the corporate America. So she helps me kind of not lose my touch with working with corporations. I've got a handful of mentors through the network. I mentor too many people to even think about. I mean, I've always done that. Anybody that's ever worked for me has gotten mentored by me, and they still call upon me. I have people that call upon me on any job move that they make, and they want to get coaching either on the interview, or they want to get coaching on the negotiation for the salary, or how should they make a choice between this job and that job. And that makes me feel good that people remember things that I long forgot what I told them. I mean, that's one of the best treats for me as being a mentor, is that when people say, I remember when you said this, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know I said that. That was pretty good. Oh, I got to remember that. No, I don't remember it. It's like whatever comes from my heart and comes out gives that gift to them, and they receive it and they remember it. But it's like gone now from me because it was just for them. And one of my favorite quotes, I have it on the wall across from my office. It's on my website. It's a Maya Angelou quote. People will forget I got to look because these are my computer glasses. People have learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And when I saw that quote, I just became who I am. I was just like, that sounds a lot like me. So how you touch people, how you reach their hearts, how you really resonate and connect with them, that's the best mentoring you can give. And I can't mentor everyone. I mean, you guys know too, that mentoring is a heartfelt gift, to receive it or give it. When people take it as more of a transaction, and they think that like they'll cancel at the last minute with no explanation or some weak explanation, that breaks my heart. I fired people, not like literally fired them, but they can't be mentored by me anymore because they don't respect that bond. They don't respect that gift. They don't respect the fact that I look forward and prepare to be a mentor to people. That time that I've, set aside for them is a gift, and you can't throw away the gifts, that people are willing to give you without any return necessary, not any expectation. You do that, it's kind of like, well, why are you out here in the world? To me, anybody that hands over freely their time, that is a wonderful gift. I guess I could mention, some of my personal mentors, and since you guys did name a couple of names, and I know Charles Everhart, and I could see how he'd be a wonderful mentor because he was on the Health and Hospital Corporation board, and I got the chance to meet him, and it's just an interesting person. I love talking to him. He's real down to earth. but another friend and mentor, and we mentor each other and lift each other up, is Joy Mason. She's Tony Mason's wife. I don't know Tony, but I know Joy. And Joy, I always feel blessed when I get to just chat with her. Sometimes we schedule just a catch-up call, and where we'll do a video lunch. You know, we're just kind of sharing kind of our journey. She calls it retirement from Lily. I'm like, I'm too young to say I retired from Rolls Royce, but I guess I am getting somebody's pension. I'm getting a pension from Navistar, so I guess I'm old enough to get a pension. But you know, she says she retired from Lily, and but I love watching what she does. I mean, there's certain people, like you said, Nicole. There's certain people you're like, I just love watching some people on social media and LinkedIn. I love watching. God, what's her name? She's got the new IBJ podcast that she's doing. I'm gonna look real quick because she's always on my social media. What's her name? She was president of what you call it, Women in High Tech. There's just so many wonderful, and she's part of Barnes and Thornburg. I just went blank because we're on the video. But I mean, I watch these Black women and I connect with these women. And anybody that's there's another lady that I admire. She used to work at Rolls Royce, and she started an organization that Leading Ladies in Aerospace, just because she knew that women were underrepresented, upper-represented. Because I felt so. It's Angela Freeman, and I just like watching Angela Freeman. That's the person I was thinking of. And it's funny because my computer must have been listening to me, because her name just popped up just like that. But it's just funny to me that social media has helped people just be their true selves and show up as they are and to get accepted for who they are. You know, it is so refreshing. And I'm going to have to follow you ladies. I haven't been big on anything but LinkedIn. So Chef Oya, I'm going to have to find you wherever you are. If you're on Instagram, Facebook, or whatever, I'm going to have to figure that out. But one of my team members she was texting me while we were talking. She said, we got some new best friends. So I really appreciate you guys, and, just learning about you. And Janelle, you did a good job of putting us together, because we didn't know. I mean, Chef Oya and Nicole knew each other, but now I know you, so it's on. Let's get it together. I like to eat. I like to drink. And if you need somebody who needs a resume fixed or need a job, you need to tell them my way. A business that needs to hire, let's talk. Maybe I can help connect them. So I'll play my part any way I can to help the community, to help the folks here.
Thanks, Geneva. I know that both Geneva and Chef Oya have talked about social media, and social media is huge with branding your vision, your business, sharing. What are some tips to navigate social media? Because there's a whole bunch of now platforms. You have LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. What are some of your tips to help navigate social media and marketing on social media? And what are you guys using right now as far as your platforms and your businesses?
I guess I'll go ahead and start that, because it's like my favorite thing. And it's really one of the best ways that I've been able to grow my business and connect to people, just simply because it's something that I like doing. Now, everybody's not going to like doing it and creating content in the same level that I am, but it's important, if you want to grow your audience through those platforms, it's important to make sure that you stay connected. And one of the best ways, and one of those things that I was doing before I even knew that it was that people were teaching $1,000 courses on, is simply building your tribe and recognizing that not everybody is your customer, first of all. You know what I mean? And that people do not like to be sold to. People like their problem solved in an economic way. They like their interest piqued in an interesting way, and they like having connections, and they like making connections, and they like and people really enjoy when you are, and this is what I found, people enjoy when you are authentic and relatable and likable. And so if you're authentic and relatable and likable, whatever else you're sharing, you know, people are going to flock to. You know what I mean? You can find me on Instagram. You can find the Trap's Instagram is the Trap Seafood. My personal Instagram is chef_Oya. Chef_Oya is also my TikTok. And then my Facebook page, you can search for either Chef Oya Woodruff or Chef Oya's The Trap on Facebook. Or you can just go to the website, which is chefoya.com. And you can get, you can be linked to all of those links, and then also be linked to our sales site, which is trapbutter.com, where you can buy our sauces and seasonings.
Okay,
I'll jump
Anyone
in.
else?
okay, go ahead, Nicole.
So we use social media not nearly as well as we should, but we're building that. So we're looking for somebody to kind of handle that for us. But same thing, we kind of we share a lot of the content that is created by you know, folks in our wine tribe that are out here, our sippers that are drinking. So we love to reshare when they send us photos of them enjoying the wine. We use it to kind of keep people updated, but we do want to have a bigger platform. Y'all go follow Chef Oya on TikTok. It's her little 7-day cooking. I won't even call it little. I didn't mean to say that. Her 7-day cooking challenge was amazing, super amazing. And I've been following that. So I think, yeah, it is a way to stay connected to people, to see what people are doing. You know, and that's what we're doing. Like, here's where we're going to be. This is the city. Find us, you know, because we're on our Pouring for the People 2021 tour. So we're going to be in Atlanta. We're going to be in Pittsburgh. We're going to be in New York, Durham, North Carolina. So yeah, I just tell people, use social media to like grow your audience, but also stay connected and let people know where you're going to be next.
Well, actually, we really hadn't been had a significant presence on social media until the pandemic. And I actually hired people to help me. And they really, not from a business perspective, it was, how should I say, these were people that were also learning about my business. So right now, my social media person is actually on this webinar with me. But she's also my internet researcher friend. I've known her since she was 15. She used to be my babysitter. You know, she's everything. She knows me, and I tell her all the time to channel me when she's sharing my social media. And it's more, our stuff is more around inspiration and insights and engineering and manufacturing and what we're doing and just some fun things. I also last year, out of just desperation of getting tired of seeing horrible resumes, I'll just say it like that, just horrible resumes, I started a resume tips Tuesday video, and I gave tips on my on resumes and what I was seeing constantly and how painful it was, and try to help people build a better resume. It's not my job necessarily to do resumes, but your resume is your calling card. And so we did resume tips Tuesday. So now that's content that we also have on our website that people can use as references and tips for them to improve their resumes, and wonder if they ever wonder why your resume is not getting even a call. These are things that I've seen that make of somebody successful even getting that first interview, getting their resume together. So we use social media for that more, and just showing people, actually social media in the business sense and LinkedIn, it gets people to know you're still here, and we figured out some ways for you ladies, if you ever want to know, there's ways to get it posted ahead. So you don't always have to do it on demand. You don't have to do it like at the moment. It doesn't take a whole lot of time if you just take a little time on the weekend and schedule your posts out for the week. You can do that on certain sites. Some of them cost a little money, some of them are for free. And so once I learned that, it became less intimidating. And so, like I said, social media makes you have a presence, makes you legitimate, makes you more global, makes you get seen and visible. So that's how I've used social media, really, to kind of, one, help people, and also just make sure that, even though we went through a pandemic and things kind of were shifted, that we're still here. We're not going anywhere, and building that presence. And just so FYI, ladies, and anybody whoever watches this, we're trying to build our followers up. We have a certain goal on our company page for LinkedIn. I think I might have shared that on the messages. We want to get to 3,000 followers. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, but we started off this month with 1,309. So we're trying to get to 3,000 followers by July 31st, which is our anniversary, our 5th anniversary. So that's kind of a goal we have out there. So if you can share that with any and everybody, that's what we're looking for. We need your help.
All right. And one other thing that I want to talk about is, especially when we're talking about COVID, and there's been a lot of talk about mental health. And being a business owner, especially being a business owner during a pandemic, that can be super hard, mentally, physically, emotionally. What have you guys done to sort of overcome and to just be healthy in all aspects, all dimensions of your health, mentally, physically, emotionally, especially as women business owners?
And I'll just go back on again. It wasn't so much the pandemic affecting my mental health. It was after George Floyd was murdered, I had some really bad moments. I cried every day, and just going through that and trying to keep my business afloat was a lot. And so what really helped me was being in touch. Again, my family were real close with each other. We talked, we shared, having some good friends of, and they, of every ethnicity, just kind of call me and check in on me and have that conversation with me. Like, how am I doing? Just out of the blue. That was a wonderful thing, and it was like, they helped I would say my network helped me keep it together. And I'll give a special shout out to my account executive, bless her heart. We have each other's back. Tia Utley, she's on here too. And we helped each other through this. So it was really, I'm not ashamed to say too, I have had a counselor that I've worked with. I worked with her virtually. I've kind of gone back and forth. There's a lot of things going through your mind when you're a business owner. I have had some of that imposter syndrome feeling sometime, wondering if you are really, ready for this, and how do you build a business, and how to show up as your authentic self. I had something, I finally got over my corporate guilt. And for people who don't know what that means basically you're always feeling like somebody's going to say you did something wrong. You always feel like somebody's going to throw you under the bus. And then when you realize you're the boss and now you can make some decisions, you're like, oh yeah, I don't have to feel that anymore. I'm the one. If I got to leave a little early to get my hair done, my nails done, I could do that. If I have a headache, a really bad headache, I can go home. I don't have to explain it to any boss. I can do that. So just recognizing the clues and the things in my own, body, and taking care of myself. I talked about my points. I'm doing Weight Watchers on and off, so I gained 30 pounds. I'm down 10 of those 30 pounds through the pandemic, things like that, just making sure that I pay attention to me. And being a Black woman, we are caretakers for so many people. And my daughter moved back home, thank goodness, before COVID. And so she's back home. I got a 26-year-old living with me, and she's a sweetheart though. She's pretty, she's a nerd too. And my God, it's kind of like, how do we not kill each other? When we're working at home, we are spread out in 2 different rooms. 3 different rooms in the house. And how do we get not sick of each other? How do we make it that we survive it? And it was just recognizing we all needed our, just to care, to realize we're in it together. So my network, my family, my people, myself, and give myself grace, give myself the ability to not feel bad about crying if that's what I felt like. And thank goodness I finally stopped crying every day. It was not all day, trust me. It was just those moments you'd watch something like, oh no, not one more thing, so that's just the honest truth, is that just giving myself that grace to have my feelings and my emotions and stop bottling it in and stop trying to be superwoman and that strong Black woman, just be myself.
I think one of the things for me personally is that I've never been quiet about my mental health issues. I have been diagnosed with clinical depression and generalized anxiety disorder. So it's one of those things where, as much as I love being in front of people and being around people and talking, like those immediate moments where it's right before I have to do it, honey, I'm a ball of complete nerves. But as soon as the TV's on, as soon as the cameras turn on, as soon as it rolls, I'm like, okay, whew, and it's there. But my generalized, or not generalized depression, but my clinical depression was a grief. Really did and really has put me in a way. Just over the last 5 years, I've lost some really close people to me. So it's one of those things that I really have had to intentionally pay attention to and do my best to seek out the resources necessary to make sure that I learn the best coping mechanisms to help me in the way that I need to. I mentioned earlier my support system. I have friends that I've known for 20 years, 25 years that are still here and strong, and I can't do anything without them. My mother and my daughter, we live together, and they keep me, grounded in the fact that I know that I am the one that has to keep them safe and secure and healthy and growing. I did also have to learn how to give myself some grace, because as a business owner and as someone who has such a public persona, I don't mind it, and I've intentionally done it. I am the face of my brands, and I don't mind being so. But just like everything, it has its pros and its cons. Like, it's to the point to where sometimes, like, if I go out with my daughter, like if we go to dinner or just go shopping or something like that, and this has been happening for the past few years, she has a standing bet with me that somebody will notice me when we go out. And if somebody noticed me, I have to give her some money. Like, she's got a pretty sizable savings because of that. And so that kind of will take its toll on you, because if you don't feel like peopling one day, or if I don't feel like, having to turn on Chef Oil real quick when I'm just trying to get some okra and eggs at the store, then what am I supposed to do? But it will. Giving myself grace always humbles me, because when you give yourself grace, you also teach your boundaries and teach other people that they have to give you grace and space as well. So I think that's really important for me. And honey, therapy and counseling is priceless. So whatever resources you have to get to do that, also do that as well, because then, like I said, you can learn different coping mechanisms, and then you can get like a real true look at what's really going on with you from a perspective of a professional, of someone who studied these behaviors and things. There are some times when I'm, speaking with my therapist, and like she will literally be like, you just made all of that shit up in your head. And I'll be like, well, no, I didn't. And then she'll run down all of the points where, yeah, I really just made up the fact that I don't think people like me and that I'm not as good as I think that I am, or that I've made myself out to be this big, great, talented person. Can I really even cook? Like, is my food even really good? Like, I really have moments where I ask myself that. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's the truth. Like, and so I've had to learn to stop and sit and ask for help when I need it, and give myself the grace when I need it to, because it's wholly important. Because, child, this imposter situation just really hits me, in the head at the most inopportune times. You know what I mean? And it's hindered me in some ways from growing and progressing in the ways that I need to. But we are where we are in the exact moments that we're supposed to be in, and doing what we're supposed to be doing at the time. So I'm a firm believer in there's no such thing as a coincidence, and things happen exactly as they're supposed to happen.
So I'll echo the sentiments. Yes, find the resources you need to get the assistance you need. Besides for my daily spiritual practices, and also I'm a yoga, so I do a lot of yoga, a lot of meditation. I see a therapist because I think that's an invaluable resource, just as a human, or really as a spiritual being, having this human existence we're trying to work through, and then also just as a business owner. And if there's somebody out here who specializes in business or entrepreneur therapy, yeah, somebody holler at me about that, because I've been looking for somebody who that's like your niche, like just does that.
They will make so much money.
Yes, because I'm like, your therapist, she's got the tools, but there's some things, they just don't get, and in all likelihood they're not supposed to. But my family, because my business is a business of family, so we have to learn sometimes how to disconnect the business from the family. And and I'm getting better with, like Chef Oya just spoke to, the grace, giving myself the grace. I also suffer from horrible anxiety, so that's something I'm working through. So it's also then my desire to be private, but then I have this really public business. So that has kept me, again, from a lot of opportunities. So I'm trying to move myself, like, okay, I'm out here. This is what I got to do to move my business forward. And I've always wanted someone else to do that for me, but I recognize it has to be me. But then it's also like the imposter syndrome. And for me, because I work in a space with a lot of white men and white women, so it's always I'm being questioned on my ability to make wine. Do I know wine? And so I just took this I took 2 certification classes. I have not taken the test. And I go back and forth with myself, like, am I taking the test for me, or am I taking the test to validate other people's expectation of what I should know? Because I can tell you everything that's on that test, and that information, I should say, that is going to be on the test. So I just recently decided, okay, I'm gonna sign up for one of the tests, the other one I'm just whatever, and it's for me. And I don't even know if I'm gonna go public, except for like my friends in the wine space. I don't even know if I'll go public that I have it. I'll just throw it out there. I'll add it on to my, to my letters that I have. But yeah, but that it's like, I know I belong in the space, and I'm a writer, like I said, by trade. And I used to have to tell myself, I'm cold. I can't curse on here. I'm cold AF, with this pen. Like, what I could do with this creativity, can't nobody touch this. So I'm trying to work that new mantra into, like, my wine. I know what I can do. I make wine, my team, we make wine. And, we make excellent wine. Can't nobody tell us. I used to be nervous and scared to be in spaces with winemakers who, 10, 20, 15 years in the game. And then I realized, oh, my stuff stands up to any of that. So now it's just like giving myself that grace and ease to, I belong in any room. I'm allowed to walk into any room. I'm allowed to claim and own that space in that room. And if I don't amplify the voice of Black folks in the wine industry, who's going to do it? Because a lot of people are still trying to claim their space and hold their space without giving others the room. And I'm a firm believer, what's for me is for me. All the ancestors have set it up. So nobody is going to take that space away from me. But there's only 1% of winemakers are Black in this country, and 0.1% of winemakers are Black women. That's horrible. So I got to open the door. I need some more sisters to come behind me. I need some more Black folks to come and make wine. And it will not take away from what I'm doing or what we've created. So I think that, yeah, so I know that was a long answer to a lot of things, but mental health, get a therapist or get you the resources, mend some things that need to be mended, heal some things that need to be healed, but let some stuff go. And that whole thing about don't burn the bridges because you might need to go back, burn that to the ground, y'all. Sometimes you gotta burn that to the ground because we're not supposed to really go back except to reflect. I'm a forward only person. So that, there's a post going on right now with some wonderful sisters. I know, Chef Oil, you probably seen this. Chief is on it. Auntie Shelly, and I forgot who posted it, but they're like, I'll bring the matches and, help you. And, somebody's like, I'm gasoline. We're going to chop that whole thing down. Like,
it up. And use the warmth from the fire to keep you warm, and the light from the fire to light the rest of your way. Like,
because we're not supposed to, we go back to reflect and to understand so we can move forward. But some of us are wallowing in yesterday and can't understand why we can't move forward and why our lives don't look like whoever we want them to look like, or even the life that we believe we should have, because y'all staying back there. And we can't take everybody with us. That's another lesson I've had to learn. Everybody ain't coming with me. There's a whole lot of people I love.
So Nicole, I want to encourage you. It ain't bragging if it's true. You celebrate that certification. I'm of that mindset all the way. When I grew up, it was kind of like I was that smart kid. And okay, and then, in this society, in our society, and even, unfortunately, they would, ostracize me for being a smart kid, and I realized that that's my secret weapon. They were trying to bury my secret weapon, my power. And so every time I can stand out now, it's scary as hell. I'm an engineer, this whole thing. I'm really an introvert, and it's kind of like putting myself out there every day. And I have to talk to people. That's my business. I'm like, you know what? I deserve to be here. And and I gotta brag about myself, because who wants to work with someone who's not confident about what they do? And so I boldly step forward. I boldly accept it. I'm putting myself, I'm on my walk of faith. This whole business, the whole effort is a walk of faith, and that I deserve it. I've earned it. I'm supposed to be here. In my network, in the MRI network, I know there's probably 5 minority owners, period. And they like to showcase me. And I'm like, I don't mind being the showcase, because I want to open the door for other people to see what's possible. And it's just a matter of, feeling what you are and being there and being wide open to what can come, good or bad, but most of the time we put ourselves and we expect or see or suspect that something bad's going to happen the more we put ourselves out there. It ain't. I mean, that's the minority. That's the minority of the things that could possibly happen. The majority of things that could possibly happen are the good things. And I wanted my sister joined. So thank you for sister for showing up. I already bragged about you. As I tell her all the time, I brag about her. But one of the things that I also wanted to share with everyone is kind of having a mindset of abundance and not of scarcity. So I'm working with a friend of mine, and she's my financial advisor. She became a friend. She started this book club, and the first book we read was Happy Money. And it's about the energy you put out in the world and the money and around money in particular. And if you have a scarcity mindset, guess what? That begets a scarcity mindset. You don't bring abundance by having it. So if you have a happy money, your money has energy. So whether you receive money and you receive it graciously and you give money and you pay your bills, you give that money out graciously. But if you're like, oh, this is my last dime, guess what? That will be your last dime.
Yep.
So you have to almost, I've always been told that I'm very generous and I'm never broke. But you kind of like wonder, is that karma? What is that? And I realized that it was kind of my positive energy helping others, and that positive energy always came back to me. So I don't really ever fear of being scarce. I gotta, and I'm trying to open myself to appreciating and giving more of my time, of my energy, of the things that make me me, because I know it's going to come back. The energy is going to come back. The positivity is going to come back. So you celebrate that certification. Tell the world, I want to celebrate it for you. Know that your sisters are out here. Everything you do, we're going to celebrate with you. I'm proud of Chef Oya and how I learned about her, and I'm happy to be on here. I'm happy to learn about you, Nicole. I'm excited to be in the circle. So just celebrate it. Don't hold it back. It ain't, that's not what is going to bring you that positive energy. Do it. Anyway, I'm done preaching.
The chat is popping off. Nicole said, you dropping diamonds, sis. When you give, you get. Tia said, you women are amazing and inspiring. And Lindsay, thanks you guys for sharing your story. Such amazing stories. To sort of get back to the conversation, I don't see any questions in the chat, just comments, but I do have some more questions. What are you guys reading right now? I know, Geneva, you said that you're reading Happy Money. What are you guys reading? What are you guys watching? What are you guys listening to as far as podcasts for businesses and things like that?
There's a podcast that just celebrate their last episode. Is actually my my business bestie Candace. She has a podcast with who she calls her sister in food, Chef Tenoria Askew. It's Tenoria's birthday today. Tenoria is a chef and just an amazing culinary mind. She lives here in Indianapolis. She was on MasterChef a few seasons ago. But they have a podcast. It's called Black Girls Eating. You can find it on anywhere you can find podcasts. I always listen to that. I just watched the Netflix special called High on the Hog, and it's about the history of Black food and how Black food shaped American cuisine here in this country. And it just completely and utterly inspired me. Couple that, I am reading The Cooking Gene by Michael Twitty. It's like almost within my reach right now. And there's another book, and I can't remember the author, but it's on my bed as well, called The Games People Play. And it's just about, how to recognize when folks are, manipulation is one of those things where it could be a twofold. Like, you can manipulate people for good and manipulate people for bad. So it's just recognizing those two heads of that one stone, and figuring out how to then navigate certain things. And I'm always reading my spiritual books. I practice an African traditional religion, so I'm always reading the canon and studying all of that too, always.
I'll jump in. I am so I read in like different genres. So my pleasure book is, I am reading Cicely Tyson's memoir right now, and it's amazing. I think I've got a couple more hours to go. I'm listening to it actually, a couple more hours to go. I finished. I'm also reading Growth IQ, which is my business book that I'm just jumping into. I just finished Darren Hardy's book. I can't remember the name of it, but the next one I'm reading is The Compound Effect. And I read the one he wrote right before that. I listen to a slew of podcasts, mostly people in the wine industry. The Swirl Suite is like always at the top of my list. It's 4 Black women who talk about wine, spirits, just the industry in general. I really like, I'm an NPR fan, so I'm a public radio fan. So I listen to Guy and How I Built This. So I'm always, and I go and I listen to like all the Black folks he interviewed. And then I go back and listen to the other episodes. I'm going to pick up this book that Chef Oya just mentioned, and read that. My son just got me a book recently, and it's a book by T.D. Jakes, Don't Drop the Mic. And so I'm going to, get into that, dive into that book. And then I'm just reading, I'm working on a new personal piece I'm writing, something I'm just to get myself back out writing. So I'm reading a lot of science fiction again. So I'm rereading Maurice Broadus's book, Pimp My Airship. So he's a local author. He's doing amazing things. If you don't know who he is, Google him, look it up, get his books. And so I'm rereading that for context. He writes a lot of science fiction, steampunk based in Indianapolis, but in an alternative Indianapolis. So yeah, so I read like different, and I love theater as a writer, playwright. So trying to get my hands on a new play that's going to Broadway. So yeah, so I read a lot. I do have High on the Hog is on my queue for this weekend. So I'm going to watch that this weekend on Netflix as well. And then I need an escapist something. So I need a new Netflix escapist theory. I just finished The Gift, which was this really esoteric show out of, I think, Turkey. So yeah, anybody drop me some suggestions on my that's what I watch between like late at night when I probably should be asleep. I'm watching Netflix.
You guys, how do you find all that time? So I went in and I said, let me log into my Audible to see what I'm supposed to be reading. So there was a book that the book club was starting to read after Happy Money. I can't even remember it, but it's at home, so I'm good for just like focusing on something and moving on. But I love sci-fi, and one of my favorite writers was Octavia Butler. Loved been reading her stuff, and my daughter even got introduced to it. So it was just, it's been good. I've reread and rebought some of those books as well. I'm going to listen to Dennis Kimbrough, The Wealth Choice, Success Secrets of Black Millionaires. That was one that I have downloaded. The Other Black Girl by Zakiya Dalila Harris. That's one I downloaded. I haven't listened to yet. But to be honest with you, when you talk about your Netflix and my Prime Video, now I got Disney Plus. I love my Marvel universe, Marvel character universe. So I just finished the Loki series. I'm still working on that's that, my family will say, oh, that's that nerd part. But still working on what is that one? WandaVision. WandaVision is kind of like that. But the Black Panther, that certain movies made me cry. Hidden Figures, I cry every time I watch it, and not because it's an unhappy movie. It's because I feel the movie as a personal journey of myself, my family, my father being an engineer, and just kind of all the things we still go through in corporate America. And some of those things that happen in that movie happened to me. Not the bathroom issue, but some of those things that happen to me, like the surprise that something, the second guessing of that you exist. So that you even should be in the room. So things like that, I have to watch certain things and read certain things with be in the right mind and the right space. Because if it's in a bad time, it's not gonna make me feel better. If it's certain movies that always inspire me. But some of my silly things that I love to watch and I will watch every time is Back to the Future. My sister will laugh at me about that. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, because it's in Chicago. So I have a pretty eclectic view. I got my grown-up self reading the business book, but the kid in me is still watching the 80s favorites and going back through all of that.
And yes, yes to all the Marvel. I'm a comic book fan, grew up. So I'm a nerd too, yeah. Love me some comic books. And I forgot, so that's gonna be my next watch is I need to get on the Loki, with the Falcon one.
I did that one too.
Yes, I gotta catch back up. So that's gonna be my new thing. And my son will watch it with me, but everybody else in the house is not into comic book stuff, or cartoons, because they're too, I guess emotionally intelligent. But me and my little 8-year-old, we're gonna watch that and we're gonna enjoy it, and just have a ball. So I feel
yeah. Sometimes I have to ask my nerdy daughter, like, what does this mean? I don't understand. And she breaks it down. She knows all the backstories, everything. So I get you.
That's my son too.
Yeah, we just finished Loki, so yeah, it was really, really good. We have an encyclopedia of Marvel. It's like this thick. And so we're like looking through and trying to find all these symbols and stuff. So I get it. I totally get it. All right, I'm looking in the chat and the questions and answers, and I don't see any questions. So we'll wrap it up, but I would like you guys to sort of wrap it up with some advice that you can give to other women business owners about how to overcome challenges now and in the future. And what do you see for the future for yourselves? Chef Oya, can you start?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess my most poignant point of advice is to just be authentic in all of your dealings and operate from the mode of integrity. It's so important to have integrity and good character in whatever work that you do, so that if anybody has anything to say, or if anybody has any doubts to your talent or your knowledge or your skill set or anything like that, that you are operating from that place of knowing who you are and recognizing that who you are is exactly what the world needs. You know what I mean? And be unafraid. Like you have to develop a certain amount of fearless if you're going to get into, entrepreneurship, a certain amount of fearlessness if you're going to get into entrepreneurship. And it's one of those things that's kind of said or unsaid because people are just like, just go out and do it. But fear is something that really holds us back in a lot of stuff. So be fearless, operate in integrity, and be authentic. And like if you do all three of those things, you really can't go wrong. You know what I mean? Ask for help when you need it. And that's something that I'm learning more and more, personally. But yeah, do all of that. With regard to my future, like I said, I'm just focusing on some distribution and manufacturing, and focusing on my consulting services so that I can help other people that are in this food industry learn how to create, develop, properly label and bottle their own products, so that they could, reach higher markets and scale to where they feel like they want to be. I got a couple of other projects working on that I'm not really at liberty to share, but working on another space here soon. And like I said, we're about to start the processes of revamping and rebranding what the trap is and what our function is on 34th and Keystone and beyond.
Thank you. Geneva?
Toss it to Nicole, but I'll go ahead. So I hope Chef Oil is talking about coming to our side of town. That would be nice. Not what? Anyway. So takeaways would be for me is surround yourself by people who want to see you be successful. And minimize those people who are either trying to second guess you and or take you down. I don't have time for that. I mean, I really don't want that kind of energy around me. And so not everybody's got your best interests at heart. And those that do, you know, appreciate them and encourage them and, you know, keep them around you. I think another good takeaway is don't give up. You know, there's resources out here. If you need help, ask for it, like Chef Oil said. You know, it's just a matter of finding them, asking people, asking your network, getting out of your own head, you know. And as far as the future for me is that we have great opportunities. Most of our work, and some people say, well, I haven't heard of you, because most of my work is not in the state of Indiana. My clients are all over the country, but I'm trying to build a bigger presence in the state of Indiana, and we're working on partnering and building our contract staffing work with a partner here in town. And so, you know, contract staffing is temporary or interim work, but building that will help us sustain the ups and downs of permanent placement. Permanent placements come in big chunks, but they don't come frequently sometimes. So it's like a roller coaster. But contract staffing, what happens when you have contractors working is you get paid every time they work an hour. So you could, you know, as long as they show up at work, you're getting your percentage of, you know, that bill rate. And so that's really what we need to do to kind of build some resiliency and stability in our business. So, and then the last, I guess, point is to celebrate, be excited. I mean, it's not the best time for me to celebrate 5 years financially, but we're going to celebrate 5 years because I knew I would get here. I just didn't know how and when, and, you know, it came up on me, and it's kind of like, I'm happy. And I just see that as a way to put that positive, happy money and energy out there and actually share it with others. So that's kind of my last word. And as my dad would say, I'm just saying, IJS, I'm just saying.
So I echo both of the sentiments that you've heard, and I would add to that, know your vision, stay on vision. So many people will try to tell you where your vision should go, what would work better, blah, blah, blah. You have to stay in, like, this is it. I'm a firm believer of write it down, get you a notebook, write down your vision, date things, so that you can go back and again, when I said be reflective of, did I accomplish that? Did I do that? You know, and sometimes you just need to look at it when you get a lot of people in your ear, especially as people grow their business and people want to give them money, then other people want to change your course. You have to stay your course and know exactly, you know, where you're trying to get to. So you kind of know that, you know, not necessarily end, but like we're building a legacy business. So we're building generational wealth. So this is something I look at my family being able to have in some capacity, you know, years from now. They might not make the wine, but they will own the structure of it. So I would say prepare your business for that long haul. Look at what you really want to do if it is an exit. Stay on your vision. Just stay true to yourself. And as Chef always said, be authentic in your relationships. Really be mindful who you are exchanging energy with, because that's super, super important as you move through. And remember, you can't take everybody with you. You can't. And that includes some of your family members, unfortunately. You know, it's going to be some of those folks that, you know, were there at the beginning of the journey that won't be here where you are. Love on yourself. Love on yourself. Make self-care something I'm working on and doing, but make self-care a priority. You got to carve out time for just yourself to do whatever you like, no matter what other people think. So that's for me is like I like brunch, and I want to go to brunch and not somebody ask me, am I working brunch? No, ma'am, I'm here to drink just like you. So I have to do more private brunches because I'm trying to like have brunch fun, but I can't have brunch fun because folks got phones and, you know, and all that stuff. But yeah, that's it. I would say for the future for us, like I said, we have a mobile wine lounge coming. And then we have some other things that we're not publicly going to speak on yet, but we got some other things. So I just say follow us, watch us. We got some innovative things. We got some really cool things coming. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Very cool. I am so excited. This was my first webinar with ISBDC, and this was a wonderful, I could talk to y'all all day. Like I can literally sit here and talk to you guys all day. But we're gonna wrap it up. I thank you guys so much. Geneva Taylor of Tellis Executive Search, Chef Oya Woodruff of The Trap, and Nicole Kearney of Sip and Share Wines. Thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing your stories, for taking this time out, and thank you to the audience that was here with us today. This webinar will be posted on the ISBDC YouTube page, so please feel free to share this recording out with your colleagues and your coworkers and your employees. It was a wonderful conversation. Now, next month, August the 20th, we'll have another conversation with a whole new set of folks. We're going to be discussing hiring and manufacturing. So make sure you stay tuned to the ISBDC website and emails that will go out inviting you to next month's webinar. But again, thank you guys so much. This was a great experience. It was a super talk. I know I will talk to you three in a bit. And then I will see all attendees hopefully in the near future. Have a great weekend and a great day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and be authentic. I think that was the biggest point of today's talk, was being authentic and staying with your vision. But thank you all for being with us, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Bye everyone, thank you.
Do you want us to stay on?
No, I'm gonna end it,
Okay.
and then I
Okay,
will
thank you.
be reaching out to you guys by email.
Okay, thanks.
Cool.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you
Bye.
guys so much. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.